Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Intel Extreme Masters Chicago South American Qualifiers. I'm Jason Kaplan, joined by Snods. Before we do get underway with everything today, how are you doing today, man?
Very, very good. Very, very relaxed. Obviously, I didn't come here in a rush, so I've actually had time to relax, get settled here at the German HQ office, and so far, a very good day. How about yourself?
You know, I've had a struggle today. I've had a slight struggle. Who would have thought there would actually be a dud bomb found in Cologne? Right next to the tracks that I need to take to get into here today. And of course, there's tons of traffic, but I made it nonetheless. And we're finally here today to cover the South American qualifiers. We could take a look at the brackets so you guys know of all the matches and more importantly, of all the teams that will be playing today, because there's a hell of a lot of them. We have seven, I think, Brazilian teams and one Argentinian team.
Yes, you are correct with that one. The single Argentinian team is Isurus. Apart from that, 7 Brazilian teams. Obviously, looking at the bracket here, as you can see, guys watching at home, all best of 3s. So there's no GSL format. There's best of 1s to begin with. This is a best of 3 double elimination bracket with a best of 5 grand finals and only 1 spot up for grabs. Back in Europe, it was 2 spots, Avant-Garde and North. North America, it was EU 90 taking the best of 5 win over Cloud9. And here coming into the South American qualifiers, we have only 1 spot up for grabs. So obviously, you know, looking at these names on papers, which names stand out? Luminosity Gaming, obviously No Tag, former NTC, Phelps, Cello, KNG, for example. But apart from that, a lot of unknown teams. We have a few names from Team Wild, PKL, Destiny, who played in Luminosity before. They were kicked for the Twins. And apart from that, lots of unknown teams, unknown quantities. And I'm very excited to get to learn about the teams.
The unknown teams, you know, Ty Lue was unknown at one point.
Very true.
Like the old Luminosity squad before they became SK and MIBR, they were unknown. MVP as well were unknown. So there's a lot of teams out there that might get their breakout opportunity here.
Yes, and that's exactly what the closed qualifier is, where you have the teams coming in from the open qualifier, teams that qualify through the 250, 128 bracket system that takes days and days, many, many hours played there. They battle their way through that. They come into the closed qualifier and they play versus much more experienced teams of a much higher pedigree. We're talking Luminosity, we're talking players from Team Wild, No Tag, obviously former NTC. And with that, if you're a lesser known team, this is a brilliant place to gain experience and up your game and get noticed by names such as ourselves.
Such as ourselves, Maybe you, not me anymore, unfortunately. But guys, let's actually see what these teams are playing for a spot to go to Chicago to play in front of the worldwide stage.
Find from JW. They know where he is, but JW's quick. Certainly onto it now. Guardian tapped. It doesn't matter. JW's earned it, and in incredible fashion.
And I'm excited to see the Windy City in Chicago, United States, and Illinois is getting a CS event of this kind of caliber as well.
To Chicago. Where are you from, actually, in America?
I'm from California, so I've actually never been to Chicago as well. I think I've flown into it once or twice, but it's an amazing city, and of course, the food, deep dish pizza.
You know what blew my mind? When I was in America for the first time a few years ago, I think it's like 45, 50% of the population have never left America.
That sounds about right. Yeah. To be fair, America is massive.
It is huge. So whenever I had the conversation, I was like, you know, that's crazy. You know, there's other cultures out there. There's, you know, other continents to explore. But they kept saying, you know, how vast America is, how different continents are so different. Washington versus Chicago, or, you know, LA versus Arizona, for example. And they said they haven't quite finished exploring, you know, America before.
I think you really ever can finish exploring the U.S. I mean, for instance, it takes you like 7 hours to drive from where I live to LA. Here, if I drive 7 hours in any direction, I'm going to pass through like 3 or 4 different countries.
Yeah, I mean, in England, 7 hours gets you from top to bottom, so it just goes to show the difference. But yeah, obviously, North America is vast, but here we're covering South America.
Yeah, but to me, South America is great, actually, especially when it comes to esports. They are hands down the loudest fans I've ever experienced in any region of the world.
And is that first-hand experience?
Yeah. I was there for Intel Extreme Masters, Sao Paulo back in 2013.
That was Pro League final?
Oh, no, that was actually League of Legends, funny enough. Where it was actually a local team, a Brazilian team beat a Korean team, which was like completely unheard of. And the crowd of 100 people sounded like a crowd of 15,000, let's just say that. But guys, we don't need to hear about our kind of past. We need to hear about the future coming up because we have our first matchup. It's going to be Luminosity up against Santos, and we immediately have to dive into these two teams.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the first name that really sticks out is going to be Luminosity, a team that has received a few roster shuffles recently. Obviously, the Twins, N1, Lucas joining the roster, going to be replacing PKL and Destiny. When we look at the Twins, coming from Immortals, obviously Immortals shifting into MIBR. MIBR being now the staple of Brazilian Counter-Strike, obviously Fallen, Cold Zero Fur, you name it. They are the top dogs in the Brazilian South American scene. And most of Brazil, to be honest, I think the fact that we covered earlier, 7 of these teams, only 1 Argentinian teams, no teams from Chile or any other places in South America goes to show.
I don't think there's another player from a different region besides Brazil and actually
Argentina. Yeah, exactly.
Argentina.
Just goes to show, the sheer dominance of the Brazilian scene within South America. So obviously you have players like Fallen, Cold Zero leading the charge in terms of South American Counter-Strike, and with that, that's Brazil leading the charge going forward. But Luminosity, as we said, N1 and Lucas, the Twins, former Immortals, these are the players that were not expected to eventually join SK, but definitely players on that sort of level, on that trajectory going in towards Tier 1 Counter-Strike. You look at Lucas, more of that supportive player, a player that's very versatile, can play many of the spots. If we're going to make that comparison, maybe like an MBK, very supportive, very versatile, and a player that's very, very pivotal to have on your team, right? Can anchor the sites, can play aggressive, gives good communications. We look at his brother, it's almost the complete opposite, right? He wields that primary up, N1, wields that primary up, very flamboyant, a bit of a loose cannon, and plays very aggressive with the AWP. And obviously they replaced PKL and Destiny. Showtime as well got the boots. Another player who made the recent roster change to join Luminosity is Steel, player who was the former in-game leader from Liquid, and he plays a very, very different in-game leading style to PKL, who was the former Luminosity in-game leader about 5 months ago. I'm not sure when the roster shuffle actually happened.
It's a lot of time in CS.
Yeah, actually the last time I casted Luminosity was Pro League Finals Dallas, I believe, or they've actually made a lot of the main event qualifiers or main events itself coming through these South American qualifiers. But yeah, long story short, Steel versus PKL, they play a very, very, very different in-game leading style. PKL very strat heavy, makes the calls in freeze time, very structured in terms of his approach to CS, whereas Steel's a bit more of a loose in-game leader. He lets his stars, your N1s, your Lucases, your Neckers, for example, have their impact, play their own game, and he's more of a mid-round caller.
Well, then, taking a look at that in particular before we move on to Santos, is this new calling style going to be something that Luminosity can succeed with?
Yes, I would say so. The reason being is you have experienced players. When you look at a team that has a very structured in-game leader, it can be very effective to begin with. Obviously, if you have lesser experienced players, if we're looking back at the old Titan when it had existence, if we're looking at teams that are...
It's a long time ago.
A long, long time ago. If we're looking at teams that are built up by, very strat-heavy in-game leaders, it's very good to breed talent. The problem is, when you are a very strat-heavy in-game leader, it sort of limits your ceiling, I guess is the best way to put it, obviously. When it comes to Counter-Strike, now of how progressed the game really is, you have to be adaptable to all situations. And one of the issues that they ran into with PKL was the fact that when they came versus teams that were better in terms of strategy, in terms of firepower, they couldn't adapt in the mid-round. For example, if you've got players now such as N1 with the AWP, he's very, very aggressive, he's going to find those opening picks. You need to have a very adaptive in-game leader to match that.
Right.
The reason being is if N1 finds a pick towards the B site, there's a minute left on the clock, then you have to change your approach to the round. Exactly right. And one of the problems with PKL was it was calls from the beginning, very, very strat heavy. So for example, back on Train, back on Cobblestone, they would do their executions with a minute 30, minute 25 seconds left on the clock. And the issue is you cannot utilize a star AWPer such as N1. So I actually think bringing in the Steel makes the team far better for the players to have in the roster.
Okay, well, I'm hearing vetoes already in a moment's time, but we want to take a second to talk about Santos, actually, give them a little bit of a highlight, where their strengths going to lie, where are the players that you're looking at to really perform within the team?
To be completely blunt, obviously, coming into the South American qualifier, it wasn't like the North American or the European qualifier where these teams at the back of your hand, you see them at all the big events. Here with the South American qualifier, there are going to be names that are unknown. And Santos is a team that came through the open qualifier. So something we spoke about only, 5 minutes ago was the fact that coming through the open qualifier, great place to garner experience, to gain that, I don't want to say tier 1 pedigree, but definitely a far higher pedigree to improve your game going forward. Gives you the great demos to go back and watch. Obviously, very, very high level officials to go back to the drawing board, improve, fix your issues and go forward with. But yeah, I mean, for Santos in this roster, The only player that I actually know is Showtime, and the reason being is he was actually kicked from Luminosity. So a bit of a grudge match going into that one.
A little bit,
yeah. A bit of a narrative going into it, but they didn't receive the closed qualifier invite, so they had to battle through the grueling leg of the open qualifier. Here they are in the closed qualifier. Showtime, the only player that stands out for me on this roster, played on Luminosity before, stood in for SK actually, back when Fer had his ear surgery, had to get that sorted. In the meantime, they brought Showtime in, and he received a lot of criticism from the Brazilian fans, and sort of unwarranted when you think about it. Think about this, right? If you come into the best team in Brazil, you have the whole of a nation pressure on your shoulders. You're playing a completely different role as well, remember. Showtime's a passive anchor. Fer is a very aggressive player on the CT and T side, and when you have a juxtaposition in terms of roles, that's very, very hard to fill if you're a tier 1 player, let alone if you're more of the inexperienced player trying to fill the shoes of one of the best players in Brazil. All that pressure, different, unknown circumstances meant that he did not perform very well, and with that, he received so much flack, and it basically hindered his career, essentially.
I mean, it's an unfortunate part of the game of esports, right? I mean, I kind of give him ups for stepping up and playing that kind of role when you don't really expect to. And like you're saying, playing the tier 1 role, having to flex from being passive to more aggressive, it's not easy. You're being forced to play a position that you're not used to. You're not, used to, being in the situations, know the angles to hit and to shoot for. But on the same sense, did the team adapt around him? Did they adapt around his passive play style?
No. So the issue is, when you are a stand-in, there is a level of pressure. And what brings pressure is the feeling of not wanting to finish, there's a feeling of not wanting to make mistakes, right? And when you don't want to make mistakes, the problem with that is you don't make the same moves you would have if you're on Luminosity, you don't play with the same aggression, you don't make the same, intuition moves. You have so much pressure, you don't want to fail, you don't want to look bad. Therefore, you play for more passive, you do not take the same risks, and he played far, far worse than he when he was on Luminosity.
Okay, well, that's actually a really good little history lesson, especially for me to catch back up on here into this one. But we do have our vetoes, so we should take a look at what maps are going to be taken away here between these two teams. As you mentioned before, it will be a best of 3. We're going to determine who moves on further through the bracket, who unfortunately drops down into the loser side of this one. Thing is about, for me in the Brazil scene, when it comes to CS, it's always can be unexpected.
Yes.
Anyone can have a great run. For instance, seeing Luminosity Gaming, I think it was Fnatic they're playing on Mirage, and was it 16-0'd them, if I'm not mistaken, a long time ago. Like that's kind of, I'm sure my gray hairs when it comes to CS.
What was the event? 16-0.
I cannot remember, but they absolutely rocked Fnatic. Maybe it wasn't 16-0, but they smashed them on Mirage.
Which team was this?
It was Luminosity. It was the old SK, old MIBR.
Well, actually, they used to be specialists on Mirage.
Exactly. But that's the unexpected factor. No one really knew about them coming to that event.
Yeah, they actually had a strategy, which was universally known as Luminosity, where they used all 5 smokes towards the A site. They'd smoke off basically everything. Well, actually more than that. They'd smoke behind triple, the middle of the site, under balcony, stairs jungle, and they'd split the site in half. And then basically, long story short, they wasted all their grenades, and a lot of the times they lost in the afterplants. But it was a strategy known.
But they got the bomb down.
Exactly. That's half the battle in Counter-Strike, getting to that point.
And if you're Germany, you seem to have a lot of those, fortunately for me. We can see there, we do have Cash being taken away by Santos and Nuke being banned out by Luminosity. And we're going to have Inferno, it looks like, as our first pick here.
My eyes aren't quite good as yours. Going to have to be looking towards... Hey, there you go. That's what I'm going to be looking here. So, Vita coming in, as you said, Cash ban coming out from Santos. Luminosity, a good one, good map for them, especially for the brothers. N1 is a very, very good AWP on Cash. His aggressive style works very, very well with the AWP on that map. Ban coming in for Nuke. Luminosity isn't a team that likes to play these strategized maps. So we're taking the safe ban of Nuke. Inferno pick coming out. Very bog standard map, very 50-50, a map which is basically always played. I think it's been played every single tournament since the new edition came out. Therefore, obviously expected to come here in this best of 3.
Come on, Dust 2's great. Everyone hates on Dust 2.
Do you like the new edition?
I like all versions of Dust 2.
Okay, were you a Source player?
I did play some Source as well.
There you go. Train, back when I was casting Luminosity, when it was Pro League Finals, maybe Dallas as well, Train was their best map, one of the maps they were always trying to veto against the map pool. So obviously that's going to be a major one for them coming forward. And Mirage, the hometown of Brazilian Counter-Strike, going to be played in front of our eyes as the 3rd and final map.
Okay, I'm a big fan of that. I actually do like Mirage. So again, looking at obviously the maps we do have with Inferno, Train, and Mirage, knowing we have a lot more background history on Luminosity than we do Santos. Yes. Do you think Showtime and crew on Santos can take it to them? And if so, will it be on their pick here of Inferno?
So, for my money, in terms of win conditions, I would say Santos, if they lose Inferno, we're looking at a 2-0 in favor of Luminosity. However, if they can win Inferno, get past Train. Obviously, I believe they lose that map versus Luminosity. Santos have the 1-0 going into Train, make it 1-1. On Mirage, obviously, this is a domestic matchup. And whenever we're casting, I'm sure it's the same with all games, actually. Whenever you cast domestic rivalries, you know, be it the Swedes, Fnatic versus NIP, be it, you know, North versus Astralis, whenever it's the Danish derbies, for example, you always have to have the caveat of the fact that it is a domestic matchup, which means these players know each other at the back of their hand. Obviously, Showtime, a former Luminosity member. Therefore, coming into this one, you know, who knows? You could go back and watch demos of Luminosity versus international teams, and you still wouldn't know enough information going into this best of 3 because they would change so much because the opposition know each other.
Well, that's what's so important about this whole qualifier is you need to win all those matches. Obviously, you can go into the loser bracket, but you don't have to play any more matches than you really deem necessary, right? So it's going to be a little bit tough going through this, that if you drop this first series, what's your outcome for the rest of the tournament?
Yeah, I believe it's 3 best of 3 wins if you go forward into the first matchup, and I think it's something crazy like 5 best of 3s, looking at like 15 maps at that point. Going for, actually, it's a best of 5 grand final. Even
final,
more maps than
but
that,
I think, to be fair, I'm not 100% sure on this since I had to like literally run through here. I think they have like a map advantage, I would assume, going into the grand final. So it's still technically a best of 3 for the winner bracket team.
Yeah, I mean, the winners have to win 2, the losers coming from the lower but have to win 3. But essentially, yes, you're looking at 15 plus maps if you do lose this first best of 3. So not the situation we'd be beginning with. But something I want to bring up actually coming into this best of 3 is the fact that Luminosity, not too long ago, only the middle portion of July, actually won DreamHack Valencia. And one of the maps they won in the grand final in, I believe it was versus North, but don't put money on that.
Well, North losing grand finals is something I'm really familiar with.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But yeah, it was on Mirage being one of those maps. So is that an indication that Mirage is a very strong map for Luminosity? The fact that they came through the veto was maybe a poor veto decision for Santos? So far, to be completely blunt, we don't know.
Yeah, and no, that's the upside to casting qualifiers like this. So we don't know a ton about all these teams, but then we get to experience firsthand on our stream. And of course, we also do have a B stream at ESL at twitch.tv/ESL_CSGOC. I swear that's easier than it actually made it out to be. But we get to cover all these matches, and we get to see, you know, what does a Brazilian scene and in some cases here with the Argentinian scene have to bring to CSGO, and we're going to find out again.
Yeah, I think obviously with the improvements the Brazilian team has seen in terms of funding, I think Fallen is going to be the golden boy, the golden child of Brazilian Counter-Strike, or the poster boy is probably the best way to put it, or Brazilian Counter-Strike, and maybe Brazilian esports. There's a very famous League of Legends player who is Brazilian, begins with a K. King? No?
Did he play on Keith Stars? Because that was like the most famous, them and Pain Gaming in my head.
Maybe it was Pain. Maybe he's covered in tattoos. I can't remember. I don't play League of Legends.
For me was like back in 2012 and 13. That's way too long ago.
I think it was, I can't remember. Maybe it was Worlds 2014, I think, back when it was in North Korea. But essentially, there are a few North American...
Sorry, back in North Korea? I was like, I missed that event.
I wonder why.
Yeah, it wasn't broadcast. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, cheeky little slip to start the stream off. I'm sure there'll be many of those once it goes into 4 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, essentially, there are a few esports players in the Brazilian scene really driving esports in Brazil. And when you have such a large country, large continent, such as South America, there is a massive market to delve into. And if you're investors, you want to be going towards that part of the world, simply because if you're the front runners of that, 3-5 years down the line, you could have some very fat pockets.
Well, I mean, you already have how many football players there actually reaching out to MIBR? You have Casemiro.
Neymar.
Yeah, I think it was Casemiro that they were hanging out with last time, and I think he was beating Carrick in a 1v1, if I'm not mistaken. Carrick obviously probably let him win, let's be honest. No, but this is going to be interesting, and I'm curious to see how Brazilian scene develops over time, as well as, you know, the CSGO Asia push as well. You know, seeing Tyloo in there, MVP on top of that. But let's kind of break down the maps now a little bit more if we can. Inferno is our first map. Inferno, to me, is one of those maps that screams passive play, especially on the T side. The amount of times I've casted Inferno and it's gone to the last 10 seconds is outstanding. Do you think this is going to be a map that would fit Santos' style just based off of what we know about Showtime?
Interesting. You mentioned, obviously, well, I mentioned the fact that Ro8 was more of a passive player. Obviously, he is one man of many. There are 5 players in the Counter-Strike team, and he makes one piece of that puzzle.
So it's 5. I couldn't remember. I thought it was 6 for a second. Yeah.
Too much Overwatch, mate.
Yeah, I know, right? Good old Papa Jeff.
That's the thing, obviously. I'm not sure. To be completely blunt, I'm not sure. The reason being is Santos, a team that came through the open qualifier for this tournament, isn't one that I am versed in.
Let's go the opposite way then.
Luminosity.
Let's talk about Luminosity. Okay. Where's their strengths lie on this map, do you think, in particular? And then where do you see their weaknesses that Santos could, eventually use?
Interesting. What a great question. Well, to delve into that one, I think the strong points about Luminosity on Inferno is the fact that steel is cooling. One of the reasons why Inferno is such a good map for in-game leaders such as Steel, Fallen, if we're just speaking of Brazilian in-game leaders, is the fact that it's a mid-round cool-centric map. The reason is you have your basic defaults. So you take banana control, you take apartments control. So while the 2 players in apartments take apps control, you have an AWPer towards the cubby in towards middle, holding towards mid, see if there's any CT aggression there. While the 2 remaining players take banana control, they molly top banana, they wait, they molly the corner, molly sandbags, take map control towards that part of the map. They have banana, you leave 1 player there, you bring players back in towards middle, then you take mid control once you have apartments control. At that point, you make your mid-round cool. The reason why in-game leaders, you could argue, such as PKL, would struggle on maps like this is because it's very, very on-the-fly, I was going to say commentating then, on-the-fly in-game leading. And the reason is, it's a default-centric map. So you take map control, and depending on what happens, is when you make your mid-round call, be it 30 seconds left on the clock. That's why you see so many rushes happen at 10 seconds where the actual execution has happened, because the call only happens momentarily before that. Plus, as well, you have to factor in the CTs really dictate the map. Are they going to get aggressive towards apartments? Are they going to try contest banana control? Are they going to get aggressive towards middle, get or peeking towards that map? That's why you have to be reactive as the T side. Therefore, still has an advantage in that regard because he is more of a mid-round cooler who does defaults and works off of that. And when you have players with the experience, the caliber of performances under the belt, such as the Twins, N1 and Lucas, these are players that can get aggressive early. These are players that can have openings early on, and that's where Steel can utilize his in-game leading prowess.
Okay, so then we're seeing potentially 2 weaknesses there for them. If you get some sort of crazy aggression on the CT side early on when they don't expect it, maybe a nice flashbang through for an early shot to take control.
So are we speaking Santos?
Yeah, for Santos to use the weaknesses of Luminosity to their advantage.
The weaknesses would be if N1 and Yale potentially get too aggressive early on. If you're playing passive, such as Showtime would be, if he's playing passive, waits for N1 to push too aggressive with the AWP. As I said, he's a very aggressive, loose cannon, flamboyant style of AWPer. If he gets too aggressive and concedes the first kill, CTs have the advantage, Luminosity on the back foot. That could be a point of contention, right? What is the pace going to be? Is it going to be a passive play from Santos, expecting aggression from Luminosity? Can they play passive, exploit that, make their advantages from there? Or what is it going to be Luminosity basically just steamrolling over them? That could be a very, very real factor here.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Is that, again, this unknown factor of Santos. We don't know what kind of game they're going to show us here in this match. And speaking of the match, it actually is ready. So let's hop straight into our first one. It's our best of 3 to kick off the day. It's going to be Luminosity up against Santos, and things will start on Inferno. This is going to be, I hope to be a good game, actually, as we can see as everyone's loaded back in and we're ready to kick things off. If we were to give a prediction of scoreline, I know I hate when people ask me that.
I like this.
Okay,
like
good.
This.
Then you know what? Give me a prediction on the scoreline here between these 2 teams.
16-8 in favor of Luminosity. Yourself?
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna say that too. I'm just gonna go with you on this one. I trust you that much for the first time meeting you today in person to go exactly what you said. But it looks like already off the bat, Santos able to take down a first big player here on Luminosity, get a man advantage, most importantly here on Inferno. And 1 minute and 30 seconds left in the round. We do see the utility as well on this T side for Santos. Got a couple of flashbangs and a couple of smokes, and you have to assume this is going to be a B hit now.
Very, very true. Obviously, we spoke about the aggression that could come out from Luminosity and it paying the dividends for Santos. And already, Yale gets too aggressive in towards second middle, concedes the first frag, and this is why we see the 5 versus 4. And the execution now coming in towards the B side from Santos. Okay, Lucas through the smoke with the first frag onto ZZT. But for now, 4 versus 4. The site in control of Santos, the bomb going down towards Coffin, and now the retake begins here for Luminosity.
They have no retake utility. Lucas is already being tagged up here over towards the Coffin side, trying to push in his Showtime. Going to be holding on to the push from Banana. That won't eventually come. Time is now starting to tick away. As you can see, Steel looking for a couple of pot shots, looking for an opportunity. It looks like it's going to be a 3-man push in over towards potentially Dark here. Neck is still looking for the shot. As you can see the man up behind the wall. Not to mention a man hiding in shadow. Showtime's gonna peek in for Banana, gets the first one. Showtime's able to get a second here. Lucas is trying to look for a single gun to pick up here, tries to push back. He's all by himself, and there you go. Santos with a great engagement over onto the site, take the bomb plant, and get the round.
How fitting, Jason, that we spoke about the aggression that could come out from Luminosity, that aggression that could come back to haunt them early on. Yell peeks in towards apartments, in towards second mid and middle, concedes the first frag. With the 5 versus 4 advantage, Santos play it very, very safe. They go for the execution towards the B site, they smoke out Coffin, they smoke out towards CT. Obviously, Lucas there with a very stunning shot through the smoke, but it wasn't quite enough. Santos having played towards Banana, plays towards Emo, back boxes. Ruins as well had such a good crossfire, basically just decimating the CTs, trying to push through on the retake towards CT spawn. Therefore, a very easy first round picked up by Santos. And for now, defaults coming out here from both teams. Obviously, we have Yale here with the Deagle, trying to line up the headshot onto DZG, but so far, won't connect anything. As the real play comes towards mid, it seems. 3 players here from the side of Santos as they group up to take map control towards middle. Luminosity may be expecting a play towards the B side here as they stack 3 players there.
We have the 2 players just kind of tucked away on that A side as well, trying to look for any opportunity to stop this push from coming through. But they have no information, most importantly. They have no clue that actually pushing in towards CT spawn, at least potentially going for a wraparound here. Showtime is just playing slow, playing passive. No, Hen, gonna push forward to actually look for maybe a cheeky kill or 2. But most importantly, some information. Now Lucas is even going to push in towards Benetta. He gets the shot onto BLD. That's a big kill coming through. But unfortunately for him, Showtime's already pushed through. The bomb is now actually receded away from this A site, and they're going for a big hit here. Lucas off to the side. You can see Nexus trying to hold on towards Graveyard, and Lucas is just not going to have a chance with the Deagle. Nexus as well, but imagine it's going to be overrun in a second as he tried to hide through the smoke. Gets 1 kill, but 1 kill's not going to be enough. However, it's now the second follow-up, but it's going to be a 2-on-2. Henning able to get the ump here now. Bomb's gonna go on the inside of the smoke, and Showtime still has that AK steel. Doesn't have a gun to use. Now he's gonna potentially have it. He picks it up, but finally, Santos will close out the round, getting his last 2 frags. But that was honestly way closer than it should have been, it felt like.
Oh, it definitely was. Don't ask me what Tiffa was doing towards Ruin as well, because I couldn't tell you. Jumping through the Ruin smoke with no flashbang, no backup from his comrades as well, just charges through with an SMG.
Right?
Or panic, or just pure panic play. Obviously, it was a 3 versus 3. Your team had the site, you have the choke point smoked off, you can plant the bomb, play safe, play passive, play your, most famous after plant positions toward back boxes, towards Banana, towards Emo as well, the dark spot on the B site, and play it safe. There's no reason to take risks. You have the SMGs, they have the pistols. But speaking of pistols, all of them are going to be stacked towards the middle part of the map here. It's going to be Del Bonnie, Showtime, and a few other players here to try and lock off all of the aggression towards middle.
Pushed out, though. They've actually got behind them. DZT is coming towards CT spawn. He might have some action as he does get 1. So Bunny's able to get 1 with the AK as well, and it looks like Lucas is eventually going to fall as he's just trying to fight for his life here with just that P250 towards his name. Eventually being overrun. Now it's Yilzao, going to be the last alive. Just hoping to pick up a potential gun somewhere, but all the terrorists have left him. Santos, most of them actually just completely moved away from his position. I believe he's already given away his spot as well. Somebody's going to come around the corner. He gets the dink. He gets the kill. He gets at least 1 off of it. But either way, Santos, you're going to take the first 3 rounds here.
Indeed they are. And one of the keys to victory if you are an underdog coming into any best of 3 is going to be those aforementioned pistol rounds. If you can win both pistols, you're looking at a 5-6 round advantage. If you can win the conversion rounds after the pistol round, 6 rounds when only need 16 is well, 1/3 of the job done, essentially.
Well, I mean, looking at this first buy round for Luminosity, quite investment with Yell and Henny. Both have an AWP to their names.
Yeah, and that is the advantage of having 2 compatible, 2 very capable AWPers as well. Obviously, Yell, the former primary AWPer, now bringing in N1, most likely going to be warding it full time if there's only 1 in the arsenal for this team. CT's anticipating aggression towards apartments, and they're going to be corrected, Jason, as the first flick, a very nice shot landed by N1, is he going to be falling back and retreating to the passive angle. So with that, we see the 1-man lead here for Luminosity. No flashbang, no double peek coming up from Santos. They're caught off guard like deers in a headlight. And now, Luminosity have to spread their defense thin. 2 towards A, 2 towards B, as it seems like Nekis is going to be gambling a play towards the A site.
Well, at least Yell's going to be left at the B site with his own smoke to maybe throw it off the push. Looks like Nekis did actually just throw 1 down to buy some time. He's rotated back towards A, expecting that hit, as you mentioned, to be in this direction. Either way, Luminosity being very very cautious about this, realizing they don't want to lose out on too many weapons here. They want to have a clean round, and they might have an opportunity as Lucas just going to peek in towards middle. Almost shoots the head off the Santos player. And then one, he's holding a good angle. He's actually going to get blinded up. A fantastic flashbang coming through to dislodge him from this position. Delbone's looking for the push. They have him completely smoked off as well. So N1's not really going to have an easy opportunity for a shot. You can see him trying to panic here with the smoke. He gets the shot on a BLD. Looking for a follow-up here as the bomb still has yet to go down. You can see him just spamming everywhere. He gets a third. What is going on? N1 is starting to show up in this round. He's looking for the fourth. He gets the leg, but still puts his team in a good position with Yell and Lucas to finish this one off. And Luminosity will take the round.
Pure chaos towards the A site there from Santos. A 5 versus 4. They're down the early player. They go for the execution towards the A site. They smoke off towards default. They smoke off the cross towards the site as well. Outside the graveyard stairs, but they did not anticipate the play. Towards graveyard from N1 with the AWP, as you said, able to snipe down the players coming out of the balcony, jumping on the hay barrels over the smokes. Easy frags there for the Brazilian AWP, as now Santos up the pace, coming in towards top banana early on. Maybe they're not going to be expecting a double upset up here, as obviously Yell is wielding an AWP towards the B site. Early utility going to be dished out towards B, but all this is, Jason, is a way to fork out utility from Luminosity. They're not going to actually go on this execution. Instead, they're trying to see if they can force out the Molotovs from the anchors of the B site, so when they do go for the execution, which is going to come momentarily, there would be no utility left. However, Luminosity have not taken the bait. Neki still has his Molotov, has a smoke, has a flashbang as well, as he's going to be throwing out the utility to slow down the push. But the smoke will warden off the AWP of Yell, as it's all down to one player. And there it is, another opening frag. Another one as well coming from Neki, a 5 versus 2.
As he's mentioned, the utility and the Molotov trying to bait those out. That's exactly what Luminosity did to hold on to his position. Yell going to get another frag there. Showtime, the last man alive with the AWP in hand. He's got 45 seconds to work with, but I would hope he's not going to get a free plan off of this.
Yeah, he might actually do. $800 is quite a fair bit of change.
Especially when they're already hurting on utility coming into this round. And Showtime now in a 1-on-5 with a bomb plant. Still just going to come in, clean that one up, and net Luminosity their second round on the board. But you saw right there, as you were just talking about Santos trying to bait out a lot of the utility, it just didn't come in. It just did not work, and Luminosity were able to just stop them dead in their tracks.
Yeah, and that's a prime example of the difference in terms of experience, caliber of players within these two squads up against each other. Luminosity, this is a close qualifier in a matchup which doesn't have as much pressure as, say, the Pro League Finals or Dallas or Sydney versus Tier 1 teams, which does mean, you know, they can just be a lot more loose, a lot more confident. They're not going to be budging off of little plays like that. They're not going to be caught off guard so easily. So, yeah, catching at the first kill versus DZT, but obviously this is the quasi-buy or the eco coming out from the terrorist side. So for Luminosity, they are going to be anticipated to get to 3 rounds.
And gotta be careful not to lose any guns here for Lucas and give him a chance. Lucas will trade 1 for 1, but Yell's going to be protecting the bomb. Most importantly, trying to protect that weapon. He's actually a couple of shots thrown out of him, potentially even be overwhelmed here, as it looks like Santos have slowed things down, but Yell's just not connecting his shots. Now the push is going to come in. They're trying to speed up the pace here. He does finally connect onto Delboni, but Tifa's be waiting there for that re-peek, and Yell, you can see he wants to go for it, but he won't expect Tifa to be there. Now it's an AWP down. They have an AK in hand as well. There's going to be one more player in the site. It's going to be Neki is just stacked up. They won't expect him as he'll get the first. He'll try to stall for some time with the Molotov as well, and BLD try to push in, looking for a no-scope. He won't land it, and eventually going to be overrun to get Luminosity to tie things up now with 3 apiece.
Ambitious no-scope there coming out from BLD.
Yeah, to say the least.
Might as well enter the lottery if he's expecting returns like that. So, round number 7, 3 to 3s. We're all squared up. Another buy round coming into the forefront here.
This point's up and up, by the way. It's very important for Luminosity that they've been able to maintain the double op setup, even though they've lost a couple of ops and had to re-pick it up before the round ended, just to maintain that like overpowering aggression or overpowering feeling to Santos that they can't beat this corner freely.
It's very true. Obviously, having a double op setup means it's very good for going for picks. And once again, Caster's fortune this time, usually it's the Caster's curse. Yeah. As you say that, Yell gets a pick towards Banana, and the actual primary opera of N1 is still going to be situated towards the A site, so goes to show, having the double op setup means you can play for picks early, and you can spread your opening pick prowess across the map towards A and B. So, smoke coming in towards Arch from DZT. 2 players in towards Boiler, most likely going to be flash 4 so that Santos can take mid control. No players towards Banana early on here from Santos, which means they are going to be expecting a play towards the A site. An uncharacteristic missed shot there from N1. So, 55 seconds left on the clock. 4 players here from Luminosity as you have the aggression from Yell to lock down the B-bomb site.
He's about to molly that. He's like, oh, you molled yourself. Okay, I'll save mine for later.
And what that signals is Banana control. It means they're not getting aggressive, which means Luminosity can keep 4 players here, Jason. That's a very, very big mistake coming out from Santos.
It's going to be difficult to push off for this one, but luckily for them, there's still 30 seconds
Same again.
Yeah, another molly and a nade this time coming in, so a lot of utility being thrown into this one, but Delboni connects with the first frag, DZT as well from middle, and that potentially gives them a potential push into your N1, trying to actually hold down and lock down apartments, but Tifa does get him, and Tifa does open up an opportunity for this bomb to get planted. Now Luke is trying to come in, he's trying to take the planter down, as DZT did rush in, flying like an eagle, trying to get the bomb planted, and now on the afterplant situation, a 2-on-2. Yell's finally rotated back in from the B side through CT, and he has the Molotov to use in 2 flashbangs, and Lucas is looking to push in. He does get a fantastic tag. That molly might be enough to finish Tifa off. He's not able to escape this one, and that was a great little play there. Now DCT by himself, he takes down Lucas, but can he get Yell? He's got the AWP to deal with. He's got all the weight on his shoulders as well. The spray coming through, he's not catching the shots. Yell goes for the jump on top of the box, misses, switching over to the pistol. Now DCT, oh, he doesn't expect Yell to just round that corner in that position. And Luminosity will just barely save this round, going up to 4.
Surprising to see how close that round really was when you factor in the fact that Yell is alone towards the B side. You have 4 players situated towards A from Luminosity. Santos, with 30 seconds left, are throwing Molotovs at top Banana. That signals they're trying to deny CT aggression to come behind them, let alone take control towards B. Surprising to see Luminosity push towards apartments, to push towards middle when they knew on paper that Santos was going to be executing towards the A site. So I would say poor play from them. But let's see if they can try and help themselves here towards the top of Banana. Early on, it's going to be a hat trick of frags going in favor of the CT side. The heavy, heavy favorites here, Luminosity, with a stark lead. 5 versus 3, minute 29 seconds left on the clock. BLD, DZT. Lots of 3-letter acronyms maybe coming in for a lot of the Brazilian players. I think it was to do...
The TFA?
It was something to do with when 1.6 came out, there was only like 3 letters you could have for some clans or something. So a lot of the players actually have 3-letter words, 3-letter names. BLD, DZT, PKL, FER, FER, obviously. But anyway, enough of those stories and into what is reality. And that's a 1 versus 5 here for DZT. Middle left on the clock, as well as the bomb is going to be alone towards the T stairs, and alone not for long as he matches his 5 other teammates 6 feet under in their graves.
That's a reality for DZT that I think he's hoping to just be a dream, unfortunately. But Luminosity had built up some steam now, 5 rounds straight here, as Santos did take the initial 3 off the back of the pistol. Weaponry looking damn good for them, as well as the money. The bank they've got still sit on 8K left.
Yeah, they got a lot of cash to work with, obviously, for Steel. And what this means is, coming into this round, it is going to be the quasi-buy coming out from Santos. They have lost 5 rounds in a row, which means they are going to be onto pistols. And speaking of those aforementioned pistols, Deagle there from Delboni, able to trade out the frag against Nekis. So a 4 versus 4 early on. And another nice headshot there from his Desert Eagle, as now we see the advantage in favor of Santos, as it's going to be N1 to mount the A site on his lonesome, but frag coming in onto Showtime from Yell means we're into a 3 versus 3, maybe some careless play there towards bottom of Banana, as Santos concede the lead in a round where they had the advantage.
Yeah, I mean, that was very careless if you think about it, because they had a 4-1-3 man advantage. They were starting to get some weapons built up for them too. And having 4 against 2 on that A site makes it obviously a lot easier, just based off the numbers game, to actually penetrate this defense. And 1 could be holding, though, from deep pit, looking for a potential shot. It looks like Delboni with the man to actually get around that corner. They do have a Molotov, so they can at least potentially force out his position, but they can't bind him. They can't easily get Delboni out of that position and directly back into them. But now with 40 seconds left, the mid-game call, as you mentioned, the mid-round call, it might have just come in.
Yeah, 35 seconds left. They have 2 AKs to wield into this round, so should be the AK coming in to go for the contact play. Yell holding for the aggressive angle. Actually does miss the first shot there on towards BLD. And now the real charge comes in from Santos. It's an AWP up close, but right now he's wielding it like a shotgun. Only good enough for 1, as it's the in-game leader to lead by example. Decimates the final 2 players there from Santos. Grants Luminosity their 6th round win in a row. And now we head into round number 10.
nade as well, by the way, out of Yell. Just like decimated Santos trying to push through. I think doing about 100, 120 damage cumulatively between all 3 players left alive. As well as the smoke. I mean, he gave him a clear opportunity to hit that first shot. Well played by Luminosity, as well as, you know, relying on Yell to hold that by himself, such a pivotal point to allow Santos potentially get, you know, the bomb down, maybe pick up another op here or there. And speaking of ops, Yell's just trying to hold B pretty much by himself here, as he does have Nekus there to support him.
Ooh, aggression there from Lucas. Maybe the fact they have won 6 rounds in a row has granted them some overconfidence for some overzealous plays. But for now, 5 versus 4 in favor of Santos. We've seen them have the advantage early on many, many times here, Jason, but they concede the round lead during the mid portion of it. And that's where the experience, the pedigree, and the skill difference between these 2 teams really gets exploited in favor of Luminosity. Ooh,
forward instead of backwards to not safety, the opposite of that one. More danger.
Yeah, but he has got full information towards the B site. And what that means is, obviously they can stack extra players towards A. And as I said, Santos seem to be infamous for conceding their advantages as they do just that. N1 lines up a second shot as well. It's so easy and it looks so effortless here for the favorites into the 10th round. This is all going to be on the capable shoulders of DZT. Into a 1 versus 3, trying to go for the shoulder peek with the jump to bait out the shot from N1, but instead he meets his demise by the aggression from Yell towards Banana. Round number 11, 7-3, 7 rounds, 1 in a row. And yeah, I mean, what can we say so far? Santos play their defaults. The issue is, in terms of skill, in terms of individual players, it's N1, it's Lucas, it's Yell towards the B site, basically just coming up top trumps each and every time to the point where Santos can get the lead. Santos can make the right call. Santos can have the right strategy. But the individual players are just too good.
Please correct me if I'm wrong here as well. We've seen a lot of peaks out of Santos that you would normally see off the back of like a teammate's flashbang to allow you to go for these shots. Like we saw towards Archway there, he kind of just walked out and eventually did get overrun. That's going to be, speaking of overrun, fortunately Lucas and Luminosity losing out on 2 players. Yell's going to connect onto BLD, but that's the last man at the B site. Now down, the bomb needs to transition over towards the B site. Hen trying to get over there. Delboni trying to bring the bomb to safety. That smoke's eventually going to wear out as well. Oh, Showtime needs to hit this shot. He needed that shot. And N1 is going to punish him for it. Now it's just more likely here that Luminosity can take this back. It's a 2-on-2. The smoke is fading. And Delboni now realizing, hey, I think both players are here. We can rotate back towards the safe side. Now Tifa has the opportunity to play spoiler here.
If there is a silver lining here for Santos, it is the fact that the A side is completely vacant of CT-sided players. 2 versus 2. Bomb going down is going to be planted as well by Delboni. 4 Tifa in towards library, so very, very good after plants here coming out from Santos. Double retake from Luminosity going to be coming in towards middle from Banana. So Santos, can they trade their frags? Can they play off of the bomb? Can they use the after-plant advantage they've now gained? Or will they let it slip for an 8th round in a row?
Easy utility to use. Molotov comes in. Delboni's going to smoke that out, so now they know 100% there's a man in pit. And the man most likely won't be able to see you. The second man's going to be Teeth over towards library. They've been able to sneak in. They're actually going to smoke up the bomb here, trying to bait this out. Maybe the defuse is going to be stuck. No, it's actually just going to be them baiting them for another shot for Luminosity to take the round. And that will be now 8 straight here for this team, who just seems to be running away with this game.
Well, not much hope left here for Santos, to be completely blunt. Not only do you factor in 8 rounds already for Luminosity, which means they have already won the CT side, winning 8 rounds in a row after conceding the pistol. We then factor in that we have Train as the second map, the map pick from Luminosity, one of the best maps they have in their map pool. At the moment, it all reads for Showtime's former team, and that being Luminosity. You saw in the retake as well, as soon as they saw the bomb was planted for library, they thought, okay, there's 1 library, there's 1 pit, I'm gonna molly pit, I'm gonna tap the bomb, I'm gonna hold library, and like dominoes, they fall 1 by 1. They make such an obvious play.
What's unfortunate is I think they had, if I'm not mistaken, 2 smokes and 2 mollies to use themselves as the T side, so they could have obviously smoked off some of the ways that they were going to try to penetrate the site, and they could have actually Molotoved as well, but they didn't really get that utility out. It looked like Luminosity was dictating the pace of the retake there. And now Santos, unfortunately, going to be down by 5 rounds as we're moving into the second half and just a few more to go.
I think one of the reasons why we see such uncharacteristic plays in domestic matchups, Jason, is the fact that Santos, if you're BLD, Delboni, Tifa, DZT, you are selling yourself in these matchups, right? What are your future teams? You're not going to be joining Astralis or North. You're not going to be joining an American team, a Danish team. You're going to be joining Brazilian teams.
You say that, but did you expect American players to go over to a Brazilian team?
But the point is, the salient point is the fact that these players want to show up in these matchups because they want to sell themselves to join these bigger teams, these bigger rosters, to have better opportunities in Counter-Strike. And maybe Lucas, I was going to say silence some of those dreams, but instead, maybe begins one. As the Cinderella story here into the 12th round begins, 4 versus 4. Nekis up close to the smoke. He's got the backup as well as the option towards CT. As this yell, Nekis to find the second as well, just to decimate all the T players, just finding themselves through that smoke.
4-on-2, and it looks like Santos is just going to throw away another potential round. We already talked about them having man advantages and be able to take a 5-on-4, you know, a 4-on-3. They had a 4-on-2 on that bomb site.
Are we coming back to camera once the half's out? Are we going to a break?
Yeah, it's fine. You know, it's a studio. It has multiple boxes. I can answer that question that we... well, no, actually, I can't answer that question.
Can you not?
No, I can't.
Well, maybe not. I'll just embarrass myself. We can. This is the problem. There's multiple cough buttons. There's multiple talkbacks. And moving on swiftly. Round number 13.
So that's your box there. It's your right. You got
I think I've lost my box. That's the saying we have up north. Anyway, coming into this one then, round number 13. Back onto pistols here. Back onto the Qualifiers, Jason. And with that, we should be seeing double digits for Luminosity, anticipating a 10-3 scoreline, maybe 10 rounds, 1 in a row for LG. So yeah, obviously my prediction for 16-8 might actually be too optimistic here, Jason.
Yeah, it actually could be, especially when we go into, like, say, the pistol round in the second half with Luminosity. If they keep going this rate, they're going to be up 12-3 at the half. And then pretty much could get 15 off the back of the pistol. And one's going to uncharacteristically miss that first shot. Boney's able to take him down, but still is going to be there. Nice little flashbang to come through to help this peak, help delay them even longer. And he's just mowing them down as they get set up here, still up against Boney. Eventually going to fall. Boney's actually with this third frag of the round here. He's going to get pushed by Nekis. He's going to have the AWP. He's going to miss the shot, though, but the Deagle seems to be his real big gun, as he's going to miss out on a second and a third. And that, unfortunately, again, will be Santos dropping the round and Luminosity going up 10-3.
7-round deficit.
It's been 10 rounds straight, by the way.
Yeah, I know. At this rate, you're going to be casting for a third map by the time James gets here.
Yeah, so just, you know, for people who are wondering why I'm here, it's because, unfortunately, Banks' flight got canceled.
Yes.
And he will be taken back over, rightfully so, when he does arrive into the studios here. Anyways, into our 14th round, penultimate round of the half. Showtime with an AWP back in hand, but doesn't have the HP here anymore. So it's down to 5 health. I know you don't need a lot of HP to use an op, but one just stray nade completely ruin your day now.
Exactly. A gust of wind, a pinch, maybe even a bad trip as well.
Wrong cough button, like all of these things could happen.
Exactly. You know, that could all result in the death of Showtime. Obviously down to 5 HPs, because we're going to be very limiting in terms of the impact he can have on the AWP. The reason being is if you're on low HP, you're not going to go for those audacious peaks, because one shot from the AK, or the M4 in this case, will take you down. So, aggression in towards middle from N1. Going to be searching for that first frag against Santos. And even though Showtime's on to 5 HP, he still will have the advantage against N1 if N1 keeps widening the gaze. But no, DZT goes down early, tries to come in for the refrag from Showtime, but even then it's going to be exploited by N1. 5 versus 3. This is looking rather unfair.
I mean, this is the power now of being Luminosity and up 7 rounds. You can make these really odd pushes, these odd shots out of nowhere that Santos, if you're in their position, you wouldn't expect that. Kind of no respect kind of play, and I like it because it shows that Luminosity is aware of the lead they do have and aware of having Santos on this back foot. With that shot coming through out of N1, he backs away, heads over towards Arch, even allows Ro8 to Lucas to kind of sit there and help out. And now Santos down by 2. Down by 3, potentially a 4th here as Lucas just spraying them down. And another round with 15 seconds left for Santos that they're not going to be able to take.
Steal with the final frag, they're on to BLD. I imagine that stands for blood. Could be wrong.
His own,
been wrong before.
Apparently.
I was wrong about 5 minutes ago, my cough button.
Well, I was going to say, it's probably, you know, his own blood.
What was that?
I would say you probably stands for blood. And I said, yeah, probably his own, as we're seeing in these rounds.
Oof,
he's at 3 and 13.
When are you dropping the mixtape with wordplay like that?
You know, I get good ones every once in a while.
Yeah.
That wasn't that great, to be honest. That was pretty bad. Anyways, Luminosity into the last round of the half. They have a massive lead here at 11-3, and Santos still fighting Obviously, they need to, right? We already talked about the different difficulty it takes going through the winner bracket and the loser bracket. You don't want to have to play out more of those matches when you already have a ton to play against today. And that was an insane shot of N1, and he escapes, most importantly, without being punished. The refrag's not going to be there.
Pushing towards second middle then, from the star AWPer of the recent edition of Luminosity. Finds the first kill onto Tifa. And now there's only 4 that remain for Santos, as they're going to be grouped up outside the A site. The smoke coming in towards middle. The flashbang is going to be raining in. Going to be blinding in one off of the angle momentarily. But is it quite enough here, Jason? As the real push commends in towards quad, and a missed shot there. As you can see, the perfect crossfire being established here by Luminosity. Players walk in one by one into their demise. And there you have it. 12-3, 12 rounds won in a row in favor of the favorites of this best of 3. And yeah, Santos win the pistol, and that's about it.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate for them. We're going to see how Santos are going to do as the second half will kick off in a few minutes' time. Guys, this is the IEM Chicago South American qualifiers, and we'll see you guys in a few minutes. And you guys thought it was going to be a couple minutes. I was just joking with you. I'm sorry about that. Looks like the teams are ready to go and want to get this one underway as we're into our second half of our first map in this best of 3, our first of many to come here throughout the night. And we have Luminosity on the T side now with Santos on the CT.
Indeed. Back into the action. Just teasing the viewers at home. Didn't want you guys to miss out on any action that comes out from these two teams. Obviously not quite equal, as it's going to be heavily favored for Luminosity, but let's see if Santos can bring this one back into the pistol round as early on. Nekis, N1. Ooh, actually reply frag coming out from Tiff, but apart from that, a 3 versus 3. Bomb drop towards quad. Now Luminosity show their hand towards the B side as it's into the 2 versus 1. Showtime currently on 3 frags here, trying to show up his former team, show them why the removal of himself from Luminosity into Santos was the incorrect move. But speaking of moves, Lucas coming in towards CT spawn. He's coming in from the flank. Do Santos anticipate this long-winded flank coming in? And I believe they do.
You know, just to go back to the Showtime topic really quickly, you know, we talk about this already being a tough matchup for Santos, but even tougher for him since this is a team he no longer plays for anymore. Either way, now Lucas in that 1-on-2 with 25 seconds to go. I like the play out of Santos sticking together, DZT and Showtime. However, they are leaving the bomb alone on site. But Lucas has so many angles to clear that eventually he's going to have to pick up the pace and he's going to have to give himself away. And he has been able to finally do that here. 10 seconds left to go. They're going to peek out through apartments, and that's DZT with the refrag. Something we didn't see a whole lot of out of Santos in that first half.
Yeah, very, very good point to bring up. One of the poor plays from Luminosity, you could say, was the fact that they lacked that trade fragging capability. When we look at top teams in the world, they are so good at trading out their losses, playing with close spacing between each player. Therefore, if you're a CT player holding an angle, you shoot the first player, you instantly get traded off. And that always gives the advantage to the T side. If you go 1-for-1, it favors the Ts because it spreads the CT defense even thinner. It means if you're the T side and it's a 4 versus 4, it's basically a 4 versus 2 if you're going towards the A side because there's 2 towards A and 2 towards B, for example. So that's why the Ts always get the advantage in a trade frag early on. But enough of the antics and the school of CS and more into the, well, bread and butter of it, the frags. So far, none of them. It's going to be the force by there coming out from Luminosity. Obviously, the fact that they did lose the pistol and the confidence they have as well. 3 Desert Eagles, P250 and CZ, but they're not going to be expecting the close angle, but it seems like they are here, Jason.
When they get the first, going to be able to have some sort of weaponry here now. Someone's actually going to trade that over to Yell. Though with that frags, okay, we saw this happen many times, right, with Santos. We saw Santos get the first frag, like Showtime would get it, or something like that. And then we get too aggressive and lose the man advantage. It would go back down to a 4-on-4. This time, Luminosity getting that frag, they don't rush the site. They don't rush in when they're obviously going to be on an eco here. They play it slow. They play that man advantage. They try to get the damage in, still bait out the utility, and play very like vanilla Counter-Strike.
Exactly that. And right now, it's a battle for mid.
There you go. Yeah, Daboni does get 2, but again, one of them going to be traded out with. And with losing those 2 players, it's still a 3-on-3. And that's how well Luminosity are playing here. And Nekis, you cannot expect that if you're Blood. That is unfortunate. And that leaves Showtime and DZ2 to be the last 2 left alive for the 2nd round running. Bomb will be planted. They have the weaponry, yes, but they don't have the factor surprise. And that's Lucas peeking out, gets Showtime very low in health. No one's gonna actually come around to help him out here, trying to bait out, trying to stall for time. And what a shot on a DZT. Now Showtime, the last alive, is he's gonna run away and try to save this gun.
Bomb, 20 seconds into its timer. The man advantage gone. 1 versus 3, and with that, Showtime going to be throwing in the towel, but will he get away scot-free? No, he won't.
Gosh.
His corner can't even save him from the knockout, as Lucas still delivers the devilish blows.
And they get the M4. They've got the umps as well. They don't have to invest that much money into weaponry coming into this round, knowing that Santos are going to have to go for, well, a relative save, right? Because we're getting into almost the penultimate round of the first map. It's 13-4.
Exactly that. You're right. Could this be the penultimate round here? If they win this, it goes to 14, and there's only 2 left remaining for Luminosity. So coming into this one, it's going to be the, I was going to say 3 rifles set up with a shot like that, though, from Showtime. Only 2 rifles remain. The AK from Yell, the M4 as well from Lucas. But Nekis switches out the UMP for the AK off of the corpse of N1. And now we see the 4 versus 5. But in terms of utility, CZ for Delboni, 3 Deagles to finish off the rest of the CT buy, and a scout for Showtime. As, with 1:20 left on the clock, 3 players stacked towards the B site from Santos as they're going to be anticipating play here from Luminosity. Oh, Showtime as well changes his angle of approach for the scout. Was towards middle, rotates towards Ruin, and now this leaves a big gap in the CT defense towards Arch. And this could mean Yell can come in from behind. I don't think the CTs are anticipating this one, Jason.
Not at all, and this could be just free pickings for him if he can hit these shots and not fluff this opportunity. DZT still not looking structure. Showtime's gonna come around. Oh, Yell is just gonna ignore him. Please get a knife. Either way, he's gonna take down DZT, he's gonna take down Showtime. There's 1 man left alive. It's gonna be Tifa. He needs Bahamut to come help him out somehow, but he's not able to summon anything, as Luminosity's just gonna completely overrun him and have another bomb plant to their name. 35 seconds left to go, and Santos in a 2-on-4. They almost have no reason to not go in for this. They have some armor and a couple of pistols, but looks like they were gonna go for the safe here potentially. Maybe steal away a gun or 2.
Yeah, play for the exit frags is probably the best option they have. Try find some exit frags, not only to get weaponry, but to gain confidence. A lot of the times when you're down this many rounds, it's about to be 14-4. The goal for the underdogs is to gain confidence rounds going into the next map.
So I feel like we can kind of ignore the rest of this round really quickly and talk about this. I feel like Santos has had like good individual opportunity or individual moments. They've had a couple of good shots here, a couple of good shots there, but we haven't seen the cohesion out of the team. We haven't seen like flashing a teammate in to go for a shot. We haven't seen like them working together well.
Yeah,
I don't know if you agree with that.
Oh, most definitely. Okay. I think a very good point to bring up, as you said, is the lack of utility usage in terms of the T-side cohesion. We saw no flashbangs in afterplants utilized, retakes, afterplants used in their advantage. No flashbangs in terms of map control. We saw players jumping through smokes on their lonesome, not even backed up by teammates. So going in 1 by 1, trying to make individual plays, and a team that makes individual plays, that lacks teamwork, that has high skill, that is the recipe for a, not new roster, but a lesser experienced roster, let's say, right? Luminosity is a team that has the caliber of players in terms of individual skill, but has the teamwork, the team cohesion to back it up. And even into this round as well, it's just easy pickings here for the rifles of Luminosity. 1 versus 5 here as DZT is the last remaining player. As it goes 15-4, now we witness 11 match points in favor of Luminosity. So, Jason, it seems like my 16-8 scoreline was extremely optimistic, but maybe it was just because it was the first game of the day I was feeling that way. Long story short, these guys...
Still went the way we expected, though. I think that's the safety net.
Yeah,
that's
a win for LG.
Yeah, and a win is definitely what they're doing here. I wanted to be a little bit more harsh there against Santos. But, you know, like you said, it's the first map. Obviously, have an opportunity coming in to train to do better, but that's going to be a tough map for them to win. DZT pushing down middle. Not going to really net himself anything. Does some decent damage to Yell. And Showtime's there to finish him off with a nice headshot. Tifa going to be pushing through, and he will have no opportunity as Nekus is going to eliminate him another time. Now with 3 players left alive, Santos looking worse for wear. Somebody's going to flash himself through the smoke. That's a good opportunity there, but Nekus will shut him down. And Showtime and BLD, the last 2 left alive. I think we can kind of agree here, Snaz, that there's no real chance to come back from this.
Really?
I mean, I don't want to be that guy and then like watch BLD pull off like the best 1v5 we've ever seen in our lives, in our
looking
career.
That way.
Oh, guys, making me nervous. 1v3 though, and they know exactly where he is too. You can see the 2 players waiting around the corner for him. I think that's just going to do it here. BLD will be overrun, and Luminosity will take the first map here at a 16-4 scoreline, leading us up into Train.
Yeah, obviously, going into this matchup, Jason, we were anticipating a one-sided matchup in favor of Luminosity. However, we were expecting more of a fight coming out from Santos as the underdogs, maybe because it was their map pick. Maybe it could have been a 16-8, a 16-10, maybe close to double digits. Instead, a complete blowout.
Well, we're going to find out if they can maybe rise up to the occasion a little bit later on, as we do have to head to short break. But when we come back, we'll be continuing the Intel Extreme Masters Chicago South American Qualifiers with Luminosity up against Santos.